In 2007, the ECA International Company carried out a survey. They asked Americans, Canadians, Europeans and Asians who were going to leave their country a question in which country they would prefer to live and work. It appeared that people were ready to go even to tropical Africa than to Moscow. In this survey, Americans ranked Moscow in 157th position, Europeans in 147th position, Asians in 204th in the list of cities suitable for living. Other cities occupied even worse positions.
To various experts, such results of the survey can be explained by the fact that in minds of most people, Russia means huge Moscow with big brick Kremlin, and beyond it only endless and infinite Siberia.
It's a little bit more authoritarian than it really needs to be. It doesn't need to be like that because the people basically support it. There's a great consensus among the people of what is needed in Russia, and this has a negative influence on everything. Secondly, not all of the aspects of modern civilization have been created in Russia. There's still too much corruption. There's still too much uncertainty in certain aspects of the legal system.
There seems to be a lot of bureaucracy, whether it be with the government for visas or permits, or banks, setting up accounts, things like this, the mail, internet, television. There just seems to be a lot of extra steps.
However, certain grounds for alarms and prejudices surely do exist. In 2007, Moscow ranked 201 out of 215 by life quality in annual rating made by international consulting company Mercer. Every year, about $37 billion are used for bribes to various Russian governmental institutions, and number of bribes is constantly growing. Besides, a slow demographic bomb is still ticking in Russia. Nevertheless, Russian economy is now growing much rapidly than in any other country in the world. Incomes per capita have doubled during the last several years. One of the key indices of the middle-class revival is increased number of supermarkets. One more index, import of foreign cars. According to Renault and Nissan companies, Russia is going to become the largest car market in Europe in the nearest future. Investments into economy have been significantly increased and, according to various estimates, comprised $35–40 billion in 2007, including about $7 billion invested into real estate market. To compare, in 2005 this index showed only 500 million, that is 14 times increase of investments in only 2 years. The regions are developing very actively. Only a few years ago, investors didn't know anything about Russian province and only invested into Moscow. But today, they express active interest in Siberia, Ural and Far East. Yekaterinburg, one of the regions with the most intensive development of economy, is now in the process of erecting expensive and large objects of real estate. For example, Renova company is realizing a project of combined development of academician territory with total volume of real estate of about several millions of square meters. Today the city is the third in Russia by purchased cars of domestic and foreign production and the second after Moscow by number of cars per capita. Novosibirsk is known as a cold city. However, today it is a hot time here for investors, developers and retailers. Building of a techno park should be mentioned among the biggest projects in the region that is expected to be launched in 2008. Total area of the land plot for allocation of objects of innovation and high-tech businesses is more than 100 square kilometers. It is almost 2 times more than territory of San Marino and is equal to territory of Paris, together with Boulogne and Vincennes forests. The Novosibirsk Group company is in the process of realization of another vast project under the name Solnechnaya Dolina, Sunny Valley, that assumes combined development of territory in outskirts of Chelyabinsk. The project's objective is to create a new satellite town with population of 116,000. More than 3 million square meters of housing, about 2 million square meters of commercial real estate, objects of engineering, transport and social infrastructure will be erected on the territory more than 1,200 hectares. Total investment into the Solnechная Dolina project is about $8 billion.
Though it is difficult to make a certain conclusion about successfulness of the planned projects, as it depends upon the objects themselves, competitive environment, etc. But one thing is absolutely obvious: there are a lot of formats and gaps that could be filled in Russia today.
It's the most dynamic economy, I think, in the world. The rate of growth isn't quite as high as a country like, for example, China. But people forget that Russia is doing that from a much higher base. It's a recognizable European civilization, which is growing at 7, even 8% a year, with people's incomes increasing at 20% a year. It's an incredibly exciting place from a business point of view right now.
Everywhere you turn in Moscow, there's a construction site. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity. It's a very dynamic market, and there's a lot of activity. And I think you couldn't ask for anything more as a real estate professional.
Become much better, actually. It feels a lot like home to me now. It's very strange that even after just a few years here, I remember thinking I need to get back to Moscow because this is where my family is, my business, a lot of my friends.
Of course, it's not easy to work here. As a rule, foreigners feel lack of transparency, and sometimes a declared profitability doesn't include risks that investors could face. Nevertheless, there are a lot of opportunities in Russia that are worth to tame, and time will show who has become a tamer.